Happy New Year and welcome to our SAT Vocabulary Study, Week 11. You should have your second semester ILJ open to page 7 and your note-taking organizer placed on page 7 because this is where this week's notes will go. There will be homework at the end of this video and the homework will be placed on page 6. This week, all of our words are verbs, and our first one is cajole. To cajole is to persuade someone by flattering them, which means buttering them up, or by making promises to them, or simply by coaxing someone to do something. You probably, when you were smaller, cajoled your parents to purchase you a toy or something. Flattery, you could have said, "Oh, you're the greatest mom ever," or you could have made promises to persuade them. Perhaps you promised to clean your room every single night. Or if you simply try to get a friend to do something, you will cajole them by coaxing. This is a picture of a random internet kid, but it reminded me of when my son was little. I had to cajole him into eating his fruit and vegetables by promising extra TV time. So, cajole. And remember, since we have verbs, you can change the tenses of the verbs, usually by adding an S, ing, or ed. Our next verb is decry. And when you decry something, you criticize it or you condemn it openly so everyone hears your opinion about whatever the issue is. Perhaps you don't like the food in the school cafeteria, and so you openly decry the terrible food and are hoping that people will hear you and perhaps change things. When we were at the football game today, there were many fans decrying the calls by some of the referees. So criticizing and condemning openly. And in the football department, this is a couple years old, but it still applies. After Florida linebacker Brandon Spikes belligerently gouged at the eyes of an opponent, many decried his actions and called for a suspension. I do believe he was suspended for just for a day, but it was pretty gross what he did. He stuck his fingers in the helmet and just poked the guy's eyes. Fortunately, the guy was okay. Our third verb is persevere. And if you think back to when we studied the noun fortitude, there is a connection between these two words. To persevere is to continue doing something that you undertake despite any kind of obstacles you encounter, despite the difficulties you might have, or any kind of discouragement along the way. So you just keep plugging away no matter what. The noun version of persevere is perseverance, and you'll hear that frequently. An example here, despite what some would consider a physical limitation, this athlete persevered and was determined to compete in the Paralympics in Beijing. Our fourth verb has been the favorite of students in the past, I think just because the way it sounds, and it's a nice short word, vex. And actually, vex can be associated with two different kinds of meanings, and I'm going to ask you to know both. The first meaning is to irritate or annoy, or be irritated or annoyed by someone or something. If someone sits next to you in class and they constantly tap their pencil, perhaps that vexes you. The other meaning is to torment, distress, or worry, or be tormented, distressed, or worried by something. Maybe you're worried about your grades, and so they are vexing you. Or you've got a problem with your girlfriend, and that vexes you. So I'll show you an example of both. The first definition, to irritate or annoy. Sometimes the loud, unruly kids next door vex me when I'm relaxing on my back porch. And then the second meaning, tormenting, distressed, worried, vexed by all of the stresses of her first year of college, Serena decided to seek counseling. So there you have one word with a couple different kinds of meanings that you'll need to know. Our fifth and final word is fabricate, and it too has a couple different meanings that I'd like you to know. The first meaning is to make something by an art, some sort of skill, or just through labor. Um, let's see if you take Mr. Borthwick's class. I know that often you will fabricate things um, from wood. If you take Mr. Peto's class, perhaps you fabricate some sort of sculpture. Um, and another way that you can use the word is probably a negative connotation. It's to fake something or make it up or invent it in order to deceive someone else. So basically, you're lying. You come up with some big story. You fabricate a story, perhaps to get out of trouble or something along that lines. So I'll use both of the meanings in two different slides. The first one here, to make by art or skill or labor. Kate Spade fabricates well-made, fashionable, and expensive fashion handbags. I don't know why I have that second Kate in there, but you get the gist of it. Um, and yes, that's a very expensive handbag. I think when I looked that up, it was something like $1,000. And the second example is an example of when someone faked or made up some big story to trick others and deceive others in order to get notoriety or attention. 3 years ago, in a rather bizarre story, the balloon boy's parents admitted that they fabricated his disappearance in a flying saucer balloon. He was hiding in the barn the whole time. And they did this so that they could get media attention, and probably reality TV show came out of it, I think. But anyway, you can look this up. It was kind of a strange story that made the news for several weeks. Okay, so you have our 5 verbs, and now there is a homework assignment associated with this. So hold on for the next slide so you can see the instructions. After I'm finished explaining this, you may want to pause and jot down anything that you think is relevant to help you complete the assignment properly. This week you're going to create vocabulary haiku for each of the 5 words this week. Now, the 2 words that have double meanings, you can choose one of the 2 meanings for each and just do that. So you only have to make 5 haikus total. You remember from previous years when you learned about poetry, a haiku is a poem with 3 lines. The first line has 5 syllables, the second has 7, and the third has 5 syllables. The guidelines for this assignment are very simple. Think of some sort of subject and create a haiku about the subject using the vocabulary word. The challenging part is ensuring that you communicate some sort of meaning in the poem that connects to the meaning of the word, and make sure that when you write the poem, you underline the vocabulary word in your haiku. Don't use the definition for the poem. I mean, you can incorporate it in some way, but you have to use the word. You can use another form of the word if you wish, like perseverance for persevere, or you can change the tense. In addition to the haikus, I'd like for you to accompany each one with a little visual. It could be a drawing, some sort of clip art, something you cut out of a magazine, a picture. If you draw, please make sure to color. Points will be taken off if you do not use color. Um, and just tape it down. If you cut it out of a magazine or something, just tape it down next to the haiku. This homework assignment is valued at 25 points, so it's something that you need to put some effort into. And don't wait till the last minute to do it, because it's not going to be something you can just throw together in homeroom on the morning that it's due. Make sure that your work is neat and without error, meaning get your spelling correct and make sure that you count the syllables correctly. I've got an example on the next slide if you'd like to take a look at it. If you need to pause to capture any of this information written here, you might want to do that first. Of course, I made this haiku before the playoff game today, and it's rather depressing to even share it with you, but I'm going to anyway. Of course, it's about my beloved yet loser Bengals. And I used one of our old words, revel, and changed the tense of it. So my haiku: Bengals fans reveled, their cherished team champions, a reason to cheer. And if you remember the meaning of revel, it means to celebrate, to get excited about something, um, to be happy, and to celebrate that happiness. You know that the meaning comes through in here, although it doesn't seem to be true because they're not champions. Anyway, well, they're champions of division, so I guess I'll give them that. Anyway, there you go. Week 11 vocabulary along with your assignment, vocabulary haiku. Have fun doing that.